And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're going to be looking at the keys for this upcoming game against the Philadelphia Eagles as the Washington Commanders get ready to take on the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And so I think I wanted to go ahead and focus really on the defense for the Washington Commanders because I think that this is going to be really huge for the Commanders in this football game. And so starting with what the Philadelphia Eagles, present offensively. And I think the first thing is that when you look at this, they obviously are going to want to go to Saquon Barkley. I think that is really the key takeaway. Number one is that Saquon Barkley, I think he had 145 plus yards against the Washington Commanders twice in play against us. And so I think that Saquon Barkley is really the engine for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I like what the Washington Commanders were able to do in the second half of our win against them, where we were able to pull out that late game 36-33 win. And it just seems like that the thing that the Washington Commanders are going to have to do is first and foremost is you're going to have to take away, I think, some of the chunk runs and things like that Saquon Barkley is able to hit you with. I think that when you look at just some of the things that Saquon has been able to do, is generally he's been able to put his foot in the ground and he's been able to find just that gap in the defense, and then he gets to the second level in a hurry. And so I think what it is and what it's going to come down to is just that the Washington Commanders are going to have to really set the line to scrimmage in this game. I think it's going to be a physical game. We know that the weather is probably going to play a factor into this one. And so I think it's going to be the Commanders' ability to get into the backfield, maybe get some of these negative plays and things like that, and get this Eagles offense off balance. And next, if he does get his foot in the ground and he's able to get to that cut, we have got to make sure that defenders are waiting for him, and they're waiting for him and they're able to, it's not just a one-on-one situation. You want multiple defenders there. And so that really is why I think the addition in the pass defense with Marshawn Lattimore is really going to help out in this particular game, because I think the Washington Commanders maybe can now send some additional resources up front to really go ahead and help out this run defense. And so I think that is key number one here, is taking away Saquon Barkley, hopefully creating negative plays, getting different bodies of defenders on him once he does get into the line of scrimmage before he can really climb and get out of that second level. And so next up, I think when you put the pressure on the Philadelphia Eagles and you get them behind the sticks, this is where it gets interesting, because Jalen Hurts right now in, I guess, 6 out of his last 7 games, he's been under 180 yards as a passer. So this Eagles offense is really they're geared towards working off of Saquon Barkley. And so I think that once you go ahead and you now force Jalen Hurts to go down the field as a passer, I think that you start to put a lot of pressure on this Eagles offense. And I'm not saying that they can't, because they do have elite wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, which we're going to talk about here in a moment. But, with this offense, I think that gives you a chance really in this game, and it could lead to a slow start, especially if our offense comes out and they continue to do what they've been doing as of late, which is really going down, maximizing drives, maximizing the clock. Suddenly, what happens then to the Eagles is it almost forces them to go to something that they're not really comfortable leading with, which is passing. And so if they do go to the pass now, you have to think about this. Marshawn Lattimore in that game in which we were able to pull it out and he ends up re-injuring the hamstring, he actually was targeted 10 times in that game. I talked about this in the last week. I think that Marshawn Lattimore has gotten a lot better since then. I think that first week versus the Buccaneers, I'd liked the way he competed out there. I know he wasn't 100%, but this last week out against the Detroit Lions, that looked more like Marshawn Lattimore. And I think that you're going to see some more of this with Marshawn Lattimore this time around. And what I will say about, the Eagles and coming into this, In the wild card round, A.J. Brown, look, he was the most targeted in last week's game. He only came out with 14 yards. The week before that, in the wild card round, he had 10 yards. So 10 yards in the wild card round, 14 in the divisional round. And then as far as Devontae Smith, look, he's another elite wide receiver. He's obviously going to be matched up, I think, more so with Mikey Sanders still coming off of the 2 interceptions. I've been talking about Mikey Sanders still for weeks, how he's gotten a lot better. And last week, man, Mikey Sanders still, some of the things that he did last week, it's really starting to jump off the tape. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, Mikey Sanders still quietly is turning into maybe one of the better corners that we might have drafted thus far. And I'm talking about just going back in draft history. I think the last time that I'm thinking of a successful corner that we had out of the draft that really was an impact like this might have been like Champ Bailey. And I'm just saying. But anyway, Mikey Sanders still, I think he's going to have the ability to really match up with Devontae Smith. I don't necessarily think the size is going to be an issue. We know that if you're able to come up with additional run support, Mikey Sanders still certainly is with coming up and laying, a helmet on that runner. So he's definitely a guy that wants to smoke as far as coming up in the run support. So be looking for that. And I think that this is an advantage for the Washington Commanders because now you're talking about if you force Jalen Hurts to throw, you're basically going into the strength of our defense because we were third ranked as far as the pass defense is concerned because we are a very good pass defense. And this is before we had Marshawn Lattimore. So I think that rating is actually probably even better. And I just really feel like now you can tell defensively this team has a lot more confidence as far as going to a lot more man, kind of coverages and things like that. So I think that that's something that maybe that might play a factor, especially if the weather, depending on what that looks like for the game, that could be a situation where it's maybe not a lot of routes that are maybe thrown down the field. It's a lot more shorter routes and things like that, which really presents now. Can the Washington Commanders really keep things in front of them, which they have done a great job in doing so? It's just a matter of jumping on some of these routes and maybe taking something to the house like last week. And so those are a couple things to maybe look forward to in this upcoming game as the Washington Commanders get ready to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. I think if they're able to really execute these first 2 principles, which is slowing down Saquon Barkley, you get Jalen Hurts to go into the passing game. I feel like the Washington Commanders are trending in the right direction to go ahead and win this game and make it to the Super Bowl, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, make sure that you press that like and subscribe button. Let me know what your thoughts are as we continue to really break down this game. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Washington Commanders and really what they're going to have to do against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be a great game on Sunday. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Go Commanders. Peace.